Hello, everybody. I hope I'm not here alone. We're having technical issues again, but of course, this time, it's not me. It's poor Carol. Hi, Ashley. Carol, can you speak? Carol,
No, I can't. Anything.
do what?
Anything.
We're going to try and do this with Carol on the phone because for whatever reason, we can't seem to get her. We can't get her up and online. She's having connection issues at her house. Hey, Jackie. Hey, everybody. Tracy. Yeah.
Hey.
Can y'all hear? Can you all hear Carol? Carol, speak.
Hi. I hope you can hear me all.
We're doing a sound check. Can everybody hear poor Carol?
Yeah, really. At least I'm on the phone.
Oh, hey, Sherry Arnold. Hey, Ava. Oh, I love you guys too. Oh my gosh. We're doing a roll call. Yay. Oh, thank you, Michi. Oh, you guys are the best. Oh my gosh. I wish you could see this, Carol. Keep trying. Hey, Sam. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Stephanie. There are a lot of Nancy's and Dreama and Stephanie, Mercedes, Brittany. Oh, but turn up my volume. Okay, turn up my volume or Carol's volume, Jackie. All right.
Your volume so they can hear.
Do what?
I said your volume so they can hear.
Yeah, I think is it okay? I can also move the microphone closer to me and see if that helps. Do what?
I can hear you clear now.
All righty. So can everybody hear poor Carol? Got you held up to the microphone. They can probably hear you better than me.
Well,
do what?
Because I'm on the phone.
Yeah, because you're on the phone. I'm sitting here holding you up. You should. You're too bad you can't see. I've got my phone up here with the Oh, hello, Australia. I've got to go to Australia. Have you been to Australia?
I have not been to Australia.
I need to get you to Australia. We need to go to Australia.
There you go. Because, I heard that Miss Carlisle is going there.
Ah. Oh, my God. Have you seen? We found the cutest thing today. Sherry and I. She sent it to me. What are they called? Oh, my gosh. Quokkas? Oh, my. It's the cutest little animal. They have the happiest expression you've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yay. Thank you, Sam, for letting us know Carol is plenty loud. So, yeah, This is Carol for tonight. And Madaug was going to join us, but unfortunately, his brother is home from college. However you say that, Jackie, that. Yeah, so my two boys are upstairs reminiscing, so we're not going to have Madaug here tonight. He's like, oh my God, I've got to write. He's actually upstairs right now writing with Ian because Ian's working on his first book. And I'm like, well, this would be a great time. Quokkas, that's what they're called, quokkas. Yeah, you got to look this thing up. I got to send you some photos. Anyway, so while the kids were talking earlier this week, Carol and I, where were we going? Charleston, I guess. But anyhow, we were thinking, we were talking to a lot of different writers this past weekend, and we realized that there's so much writers and even readers don't know about publishing. So we thought we'd kind of, if you guys are interested, we'd tell you more about it. So, oh my gosh, we got two people from Kentucky. Yay. And Statesboro. Yay. But anyhow, yeah. So where do we start, Carol? I got discombobulated when nothing worked.
Get to the end.
That's true. Yeah. From beginning, middle to the end, however you get to the end. Oh my God, I think you're coming live. We may have you on screen in a moment. But anyway, for those who don't know, there are basically three kinds of publishing. Well, there are four really. Although the fourth one kind of mingles into the others. But the three types of publishing are traditional, independent, hybrid, and there's Vanity Press, which Vanity Press is a form of independent, but we'll talk about it because it's a little bit different. What most people are familiar with are the traditional ones, but one of the things that we were noticing at the event we were at this past weekend is traditional publishing is pretty much going the way of the dinosaur. And I mean, no, really, because used to be, you would go, I've published a book, and everybody be like, oh my you got, a published book looks like what you're used to. I don't have one nearby. But a typical book that you're used to that you purchase in a store. And now there's so many people who are doing independents, which are usually those are done through KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, or they're done through not Amazon. Amazon is Kindle. Oh my gosh, I need more sleep. Or they're done through Ingram Spark, which is one of my favorites because Ingram Spark will allow you to publish hardbacks. And then, of course, you have Hybrid, which is actually, Carol is independent for those who don't know. I'm traditionally published, but I'm actually now called Hybrid because I do self-publishing too and have done it for, 12, 13 years now. I've been self-publishing certain titles. So, there are advantages to each and every one. Carol, I'm going to let you talk more, though, about independent because you do independent a lot more than I do.
Okay. What do you think we want to know?
Well, explain to them how it works. Because, I'll start with that. Traditional publishing is I write the book and I send it to my publisher, and my publisher does everything. And I have almost no, people are always, well, when you hire your audio, I don't have any control over any of that. That traditional publish, basically, I hand the baby off, they dress it, they prep it, and I sit there and go, I don't like that title. And they do the I don't care. So, but independent, I'm going to let Carol take, because like I said, Carol does that a lot more than I do.
Yeah. Independent is where you end up doing a lot of the work yourself. That's the business part of business. I can hear myself from both sides.
Oh, no, sorry. You might want to mute your microphone while you're talking on the phone.
Oh, no, sorry. You might want to mute your microphone while you're talking on the phone.
How much creative, I'll answer this one. How much creative control do you have with traditional publishing? I've heard horror stories about publishers changing storylines without your consent. Jacob, I wish I could say that's not true, but I've had editors, those who've had my original Born of the Night, there are entire paragraphs of that first book that came out in 1995, I think, that I didn't write, that my editor wrote. Like I would never, ever type. I have the caliber of a weapon. I can't remember what it is now, but anyway, like if you're doing 38 special, it's period 38. And whoever the editor was actually spelled it out 0.38. Like, I don't know. And there's another section where I had a military code, like 5, 6, 8, 9, whatever. They actually wrote it out 800 million, whatever it was. So that can be true in traditional publishing. They're not supposed to change anything without verifying it through the author, but I won't say that it never happens. It has happened to me. I've been very upset by it. The opening of Bad Attitude. I have a character saluting a sergeant. I know not that. My dad was a drill sergeant. I know you don't salute a sergeant. So anyway, yeah, there can be nightmares. As you get higher in your career, they become more respectful. But and then again, I've been a #1 New York Times, and I've had editors step in and still rewrite a lot of my manuscripts. So it can happen. Just that is the nightmare with traditional, because contractually they can do anything they want to with the book. And while they're supposed to consult us, if they don't, there's really not a whole lot you can do other than send your agent after them, and they'll be like, eh. So, but Carol gets to do everything.
Yeah, I'm an agent. I don't have to consult.
Yeah.
The one thing about it is you have to learn, depending on your platform that you want to go through and upload your book onto. Once you hit the end, then let it sit, revise it, because you're going to catch mistakes in it, because it'll be new after a week or so. And then find a good editor, because you really want it polished, even if you are independently doing it. Make sure that you can communicate with them back and forth and they don't go through, that they understand the story. So you can always check editors out for freelance editors who will do contemporary romance or horror or paranormal. Try to get with them and have them go through your manuscript. Have them send them the first 30 pages or so, and then see if y'all are compatible, that y'all can talk with each other, that nobody's feelings gets hurt, because this is a business. So then treat it like so. You want the best product available out for people to go through and read. The last thing you want in a review is, oh my God, she needs an editor, or
Yeah.
nobody even proofread this book before they released it.
Well, sometimes you get that with traditional too.
Those. Because you can throw it up on Amazon, is the biggest first platform everybody thinks of. But you write it in your computer, or if you type it, then I feel for you. But those days for us are over. But you put it on your computer, and you just write it because you write it the way you write it. When you go into Kindle, then you have to follow their formatting rules, which means you've got to figure out what your inside margin is, your outside margin is, top and bottom, how you want it numbered, how you want your name, how you want the title of the book to make it look professionally done, so that it's a polished product when you're done. And those were the most hair-raising, most man-hours worked into something to learn how to do that. If you're a whiz, what do we hear this? She's a techno. What did she say she was?
Oh, no, we're not going to say that online. No, we're not. No, don't you dare.
Challenge. She said.
What? No, we're not going to say that. If you're not technically adept, how about that?
That one is not technical. I'm not technically adept. Thank God I do have a son who has no issue. But his first response always is, "Did you Google it? Have you been on YouTube?" And I'm like, do I look like I would? Okay, so no, I want to go through and figure it out. But it's easier for me to read what Kindle is trying to tell me to do and apply it at the same time. I'm a visual person. I'm not going to listen that much. That's why I take a lot of notes, because then as I write them down, I got it. So you learn how to do these margins, how to do the inside guttering, so that when somebody opens a book, the half of your paragraphs don't disappear in the crease right there. And that's the business part of your business. Then you need to go through and find a really good cover artist, or a cover artist that can see your vision of what your book or series needs to be. There are free sites. Excuse me. You can go to Canva. Canva goes through and help you make a pretty cover. It's not going to be. Sherry designs her own covers. She's on a whole other level. But
Thank you.
Just throw out. You're welcome. Throwing out, like, I write a series of military shorts on Smashwords, because that's a separate platform. But I have to do, because they're ebooks only, I only have to do a front cover. So I have a dry spot at 110.
We all have that here.
Oh, I know. So I did red, white, blue covers, and Canva had dog tags, and they had submarines, and they had, the things that I wanted to go through and fill in to kind of give the reader a hint of the story. So you can put one together. Don't kick yourself in the butt. Look at it. Ask a couple people. I know my first cover, by the first cover artist that we had worked back and forth for a bit. I was at IHOP having breakfast, and our waitress kept buzzing by because it wasn't very busy. I'm like, hey, come over here. And I went through and downloaded the covers. And I was like, do you like this one or this one? If you walked into a store, which one would you be more attracted to? This one or this one? She said, oh, hand that. She said, because I read all the time. So now she's one of my best readers. So she was like, this one. I would snatch this one every single time. And I was like, okay. So then that's one I went with for Sanctuary. But that cover artist knew what I was doing to produce a series that all needed to be linked together in the colors that I thought would work. So together we cobbled up all those covers. So now you have a cover, and you've uploaded your book into Amazon. And then you have to wait till Amazon goes through and thinks, oh, well, I think we can print this. Then they send you a notice, and then you get with a cover artist and tell them to the page exactly 305. And then they go through and fit that spine in your back cover to that 305 pages. The minute you take one away or add one, then the cover artist is like, that they don't like this is because you didn't tell me the right thing. So this is the constant part of, I am not busy writing my series because now. I'm waiting to get this back from the editor. I'm waiting to get my cover made, and I'm waiting to go through. Once I get all of that done, and Amazon accepts it, then they're going to take 24 to 72 hours to decide that it's not plagiarized or.
Well, we hope.
and this kind of thing. They run it through programs, whatever, this kind of thing, and then they throw it up there, and then boom. Okay, now you're published, independent, but your book is out there on Amazon. Now you got to bust your butt on the other side of the business thing to promote, to get it out there, to show people, to yell it from the rooftops. Hey, this is where we are. I'm independent. Da-da-da.
Well, and that's one mistake that people make between independent and traditional. We still have to do that traditional. Everybody thinks the publisher does all the advertising, everything for you. That's a myth. Most writers, especially if you're at the beginning level, you're responsible for all your travel. You're responsible for, oh my gosh, your bookmarks, your pins, all that stuff that you guys pick up and throw away. We spend a lot of money on that. It's sad but true. You know, they don't compass that. That's strictly out of our pocket. Bianca says that it sounds like it's a whole lot of work, and it really, all of it is, whether it's hybrid, traditional, or independent stuff. It is all very, very hard. There are a couple of questions real quick I wanted to address. One, I can't remember who it was. Excuse me, hiccup. Was asking, did Born of Blood get kicked back? I was actually going to send out a notice about this. For those who don't know, I lost my hard drive, and it's still not back. I still don't have everything that I lost out of that book. And thunderstorms come. Last night, I lost power for about 5-6 hours. So yeah, unfortunately, that's one of my hybrid independent projects. I have not been able to keep the power, and we've had technical troubles doing this. So right. Yeah, it was pushed back, but only for a few weeks. I think it's pushed back for 1 month. It is coming. We need time more to edit it, and so much of it got lost. It wasn't funny. So I'm not happy. I hate the storms. I hate not having power. I need a generator. I know this. It's on my to-do list. Oh, thank you, Vicki. It has not been a good week. Oh my God. Yeah. There's been a lot this week. We're not even going to go into this week, are we? No, we're not. And then there've been a couple of questions about the Kickstarter. We'll get back to the publishing in a minute. About the Kickstarter. If you go to yearofasheron.com, there's a button up there. I think it's red or orangey, which says you can pre-order now. So go, rush. If you want the 5th volume or any of that, it's not too late. You can actually get that. And Carol, I'm going to put you down long enough or I'm going to stand you up by the microphone. You can keep talking. I'm going to put that in here so that y'all will know where to go. Yeah. Saw today that pre-ordered the new release. Oh, August 23rd. Yeah, we're hoping, like I said, we're hoping that it can get through the editorial process and everything quicker. But because I had that delay between the power storms and losing, we were hoping that the hard drive would come back, but I really had to rebuild everything. So yeah, that sucks. Do Chthonians have purple? Do all Chthonians have purple eyes? They do not. So Carol, we were talking about, Vanity Press. You've done Vanity Press. I haven't. So
I have done Vanity Press.
What people, and I was talking when we had to rent a car to go get my son because he had a lot of stuff at college I didn't know about. Yeah. Anyway, when I went to pick up the rental car, the guy was talking to me. He had spent tens of thousands. I want to say it was around 20,000. He had spent to publish his book. And I went, whoa, no, you should never do that. What are you doing? Don't spend that kind of money. I didn't know Vanity Presses were even around still. Carol, while I type in this real quick, I'm going to let you talk about that.
Okay, the Vanity Press that I went with is Page Publishing out of New York. They have a red logo in case you want to go look it up. They do publish. I was going to try something different. I'd gone to a publisher with the first 2 books, or the first 3 books. And then I thought, well, we'll try something different with the next one. And Paige kept popping up in all the feeds. So I was like, well, I'll go investigate Paige. Well, Paige went through and said they would edit, they would put a cover on it. I would work with their art department. It wouldn't be taken out of this, the decision would not be taken out of my hands. The editorial was mainly grammar, not necessarily content, because they felt that I had the content in the book that I needed. So my initial outlay was 24 and change.
Ouch, really?
Yeah, 2,400, I don't know, 85, 86, something.
Oh my God.
But they put you on a payment plan. Okay. So while you're dealing with your editorial department, and they go through and find all your grammar mistakes and have a few questions that those sentences didn't end or they ran on for 2 paragraphs or whatever, this kind of thing. You get those straightened out, send it back to them, and then you start working with the art department, which is, they sent me like a 15-page questionnaire. How does this person dress for work? How does this person dress for casual? What does this person sleep in? What color eye? What color hair? What color? I mean, it's very, very in-depth. So I did all of those answers and sent it back up there. And he was like, well, that's real good. We got that. But do you have any design? And I was like, I'm a writer. Okay, I'm pretty much one-dimensional. I was like, no, but I was talking to my niece, and she said, he's a wolf, and I'm like, yeah, from the South, and I said, yeah, but he's military in the desert, and I said, well, yeah, because he's stationed, and at that point, I mean, the war had just broken out. It's all, but anyway, she said, so why not go through and go from the pine forest to the desert, and then put a claw mark across it, like an I Ching. And I was like, oh, I Ching really, really appealed to me, because I can see the brown and the green, and I can see it once somebody gives me a hint. And I was like, okay, we'll do that. So I contacted Paige, and Paige says, oh, okay, so we're going to send you one. So they sent me a box of 10, I think, for my $2,200.
Oh my God.
And they went through and got the copyright, which they got a faster copyright return than I got.
Really?
I don't know. Worked. Yeah. It kicked back to me in like 2.5 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, my copyright's already here.
That could be the time of year too. It depends on how many they got going through the office.
Yeah. We went, we did an interview. There's a YouTube interview out there on this book through Paige. And they were like, well, good luck. There you go.
No, yeah. And
yeah.
And Barry made a comment that he's self-published. He's a high school dropout, and he's done his own editing for a book that came out in November 2011, and he's done hundreds of book signings. And that's true of whether you go traditional, hybrid, or independent. Anybody, with traditional, you have to go through a submission process.
Right.
And that is really, gosh. I was telling Carol the story of Master of Desire, for those who've read it. When I first sent it in to my first editor, my editor was like, oh, I love the proposal. This is amazing. You do such great, what she called elevator books, which means that they focus on a hero and heroine. And she's like, I love it. However, I know you, and I think you can do bigger. I want you to add in secondary characters. I want a plot, a subplot, and a subplot to the subplot. And and I'm making, notes going, okay, keep talking, yeah, okay, I can do that, but I can't do that with the book you read. And she's like, what? And I said, no. The characters for this book have to be the elevator. The story revolves around these two people. And if I add all that in, it'll destroy the book. I've been, at that point, I've been writing long enough to know, don't even attempt it. There are some edits you can make to a story, but there comes a point in your career where you will learn. Early on in my career, I ripped a book up because the editor who bought it told me to do it, and that book never went back together. I'm not even going to tell you what it was. In my opinion, it never went back together the way it should have gone. So after that, I'm like, I'm never going to rip the guts out of a book again over somebody's opinion. So what I ended up doing is I wrote her a whole nother book. Well, right as I handed that book in, God love them, they fired that editor. And God love the new editor who came in, who ended up being my editor for over 20 years. She's like, you know what, Sherry, I don't understand because I pulled the original synopsis and the original proposal. Oh my God, it's not the same book. You've got these plots and these subplots and all these characters. Why? I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And literally everything that the one editor wanted, the second editor was like, rip it out, rip it out. I don't want it. And I'm like, okay, I will go back to the original proposal and write that book, but I'm not going to destroy the book you have. And she's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I can write the book in 2 weeks. I promise you. And even though I had an infant, Ian was, I think, just a few weeks old at the time, I ended up writing Master Desire and handing that sucker in like that. Ironically, after Monique left that publisher and went to St. Martin's, where she edited me for many years too, the next editor who came in after Monique bought the book that Monique didn't want. So, it's traditional publishing is really weird, and it's just, it's crazy. And we have another question from Jacob here who wanted to know about people writing series. Can you continue it self-published? That's a big if. The first 3 books that I did were done by 3 different publishers. That's why when you look at the original Paradise City, which is Born of Ice now, I had to change all the character names. I had to change any and everything that related to the original storyline because of the contractual, the terms of my contracts. So no, you can't always go back and do a series. They can stop you cold. There are a lot of people who are like, well, why don't you write this? Why don't you write that? Well, I would have to get permission. And somebody was asking that about why my publisher wouldn't do Styx and Acheron. They don't give you a reason. They just say no. And if they have that contract, no means no. So, they're not beholden to anybody. And that's the drawback of traditional publishing. That's one of the things, like Carol does independent. She can do whatever she wants to, which is what's so great. And Carol got quiet.
I'm sorry. My first couple
okay.
were with New Concepts, and I submitted the other one to Loose Id before I went to Page. New Concepts, I believe, is still in business. Loose Id is now out of business. So when you go to a publisher, then things happen. Yes, you can go independent with the rest of your series, so long as you make sure that they are marketed all the same. Works like a charm.
Right. And Beth is like, oh, wow, I didn't know that traditional editors have so much influence. Oh, yeah, no, they have all, because at the end of the day, if they don't want to publish it, they won't publish it. So there comes a point where you have to be very careful because, yeah, I mean, you toe a fine line with a traditional publishing house. And then somebody was asking about Kickstarter. I know we're popping back and forth. On the Kickstarter, you can do like the plushies and all independently. If you go to the Year of Acheron that I put up earlier, it'll take you to the pre-order site and you can place orders for just, if you're not part of Kickstarter and you're coming in, you just want to join it, you can do that now and you can get the plushie, or you can get, I think we have some available. We might not. They may be sold out. Or if you want, one of the books, or I have one here, the Jaden Charm or anything like that, you can order it off the pre-order site. So yay. So was that why Fury and Angelia got more of their own story? Theirs is a short story. They didn't really get more of it. The whole thing about that, my publisher actually put that anthology together with a bunch of writers. So yeah, again, anthologies are a whole nother animal. There are different ways, whether you're traditional, independent. Carol edits The Sanctuary. That's why she's laughing. Traditional publishers, you get into an anthology one of 2 ways. You have people like Carol or a friend of mine, Chris, who they go out there and they come up with, and Kevin Anderson too, they come up with a theme, and then they go and they find authors, and then they present it to the publisher, and they, hopefully contract based on their lineup and material. The other way that they can do it is the publisher themselves will come up like, we want to do a Christmas book and we wanted to promote our authors. So they'll pick 4 of their authors and they'll invite you to be in the anthology. But you really can't submit a book traditionally to be in an anthology. Where we're different is, Carol and I, because I know there's so many of you who are out there writing fan fiction. We love you. I love that you love to play in my worlds.
Elizabeth is right there.
Do what?
She's in the first book, Key Elizabeth.
Aw. So look, we might have Carol coming in. I'm hoping I've added you, even though you're a big C at the moment. But anyhow, I know, right? I will cut you off the phone if you come in. But where was I talking about? Oh, so we wanted to pay back to all of you great role players and those of you who are out there writing fan fiction. I know a lot of writers frown on it. I'm not one of them. Very early in my career, I grew up in the science fiction fantasy community. So I've had a lot of friends. I've never done fan fiction, mostly because I'd rather play my own characters. But I know a lot of people who do fan fiction, who love fan fiction. And I'm thrilled that anybody wants to do fan fiction based on my worlds. So I made it legal to do 30 years ago now. God, I am that old. But 30 years ago, I made a legal way for people to play in those worlds. And we're still doing that with the anthologies because I love you guys. And Carol can speak more about, have you ever done any of the anthologies independently?
I've been in a couple through the last publisher I was had before they disconnected, before they went under. Oh. So another bunch of authors who was in there.
Oh, that's one thing to talk about when a publisher goes under. Oh, Bianca, you should be brave enough to submit to Sanctuary. Come on.
Exactly, please.
Yeah, never be afraid.
I promise.
The rights question is very different for traditional, independent, and hybrid. The contracts, like the ones that I have, one of the reasons why the books were short during my divorce, I couldn't bring out a full-length novel because that would have violated the contract and would have got me into a lot of trouble. But yet you guys were sitting there going, I couldn't really focus to do a long novel that takes a whole lot of concentration, and my head was not in a good place for all those years. So, short was easy and it didn't violate any of my contracts. If something happens, either the publisher goes out of business or they merging is a whole different animal, or you buy out your contracts, what happens to your rights? Ultimately, it's up to the person, because I'm the creator, but I license the rights to them. Used to be back when I first started in the late 80s, early 90s, if you moved on after a certain period of time, the publisher would gladly give up the rights after the books came out. They don't do that anymore. Now it takes pretty much an act of God to get any of your rights back, which is why I look at new authors. I'm like, I don't know if I would. I love my traditional publisher, don't get me wrong, but as a new author today, I'm not sure I'd give up all my rights unless I was getting a big check from them, because the first contract I signed with the publisher is $500. And, if I could go back in time, I'd have never done that, especially for $500. I made my life miserable. I did get the rights back. That's Born of Night. And it did hit #1 once it came back out. But, Carol's had her own nightmares, and I'll let you speak to those.
For what? Going through and
trying to get your rights back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've had houses go under and not release rights, right?
Yeah. I actually had to go far enough to tell get a lawyer to go through and actually write a letter after they went through and went under. And it seems perfectly simple to me, except their explanation was, no, we have to go through and hold on to the rights because that counts as an asset in our bankruptcy. And so I couldn't understand how that was. And the entertainment lawyer, thank God for entertainment lawyers, people who understand the crazy twists and turns that we had to go through. I went and talked to him because the consultation was free. And I was like, hey, this is where I'm standing. And they were like, oh, no. Hang on a sec. We can fix that. And his paralegal, come out with a form letter. And all he did was sign it. And then she went in there and put my name on it. I went through and signed it and printed my name. So I knew everything going on. And he was like, just mail it out. And I was like, oh, okay. Boy, they turn my rights right over. There's no way they can use it as an asset in a bankruptcy because they're not going to make any money on it. As soon as they go under, they can't really sell.
Right.
They should revert to you, but there are times and situations where you have to have somebody in your corner that's big enough to have to. And I've talked with other indies that have had past experience with publishers that the contract is the contract. And they say, if you're not comfortable, take it to an entertainment lawyer and have them go over it with you so you understand what these people are doing. I have been really, really lucky that my contracts are simple. And I think the longest hold I had on any of my rights was 5 years. And it hasn't been a problem. But if you don't read what you've got and you think, well, I'm not getting any sales with these people, so I'm going to go through and take it off of them, because even if I do sell, they're going to take that percentage, and the printer's going to take a percentage, and then I'm going to get even less. Now I can indie publish it, so all the money goes into my pocket. Then you really can't go through and break that contract until or unless something happens. So you have to run it out. But you have to pay attention to they will include things like foreign rights and this kind of stuff in there, even in little contracts, even from smaller publishers that aren't Simon & Schuster and Tor and the big guys. Some of the little guys will go through and throw some stuff in there too, thinking they're going to nab another corner of a market somewhere, and then they can go through and use your book to go through and make them more money. That's what you do. You pay a publisher to go through and help you out. They're supposed to be able to get it out there, or to get it, to make sure that their site has it up ready to go, and at least they promote it there. But yeah, when it comes down to it, and you have to go through and argue out of a right situation, if they take it for 3 years and you're 5 years out and you're ready to go through and recover the whole series, then and they don't want to release it, you may have to call in a big gun and say, well, this is a contract with stipulation, and now you're not doing anything. I want them back, and have them to go through and either figure out a way to break it, or just send them a letterhead saying, if you don't, then we're going to come and talk to you for real.
Yeah,
it can be a night. That book is in limbo until you can get it one way or the other. It's just stuck out there. You
absolutely. D.H. Rose, Dark Rose, I'm sorry. Yes, I enjoyed that fan art. It was amazing. Thank you. I loved it. Oh, bless you for doing that. I loved seeing it. We also have, where'd she go? Here we go. I've learned how to show these. Carol, you would be proud.
Okay.
Who is E.T.'s father? Does he have any gifts like the other members of the family? I can't tell you who his dad is because I haven't shown up yet, or I'm not going to talk about the powers. I will tell you this. It will be in an upcoming book. So there we go. Yeah.
Because you don't give away anything.
I do. Well, I do. Yeah. And there was another question. Where was it? About contracts. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. This one is, how does that work when you ask for a call of submissions for a book? Is it considered a work for hire? How do the rights and licenses work? That is a whole day's worth of discussion. Call for submissions, like I said, well, in our case, Conk Edits, it goes to Carol. Somebody was asking about that. I don't read the fan fiction. I love you guys. I love you dearly, but I don't read any of it. That's why I've got Carol. I keep a strong distance away from that. Not that I don't love you and not that I'm not grateful for it. It's just I want to keep my characters pure in my head, and I don't want any outside influences on them. So when I'm doing that stuff, I want to make sure that I'm doing that stuff. And Carol is a great editor, so we love her. But in terms of, is it considered a work for hire? It depends. I mean, all of this is going to matter on the publisher, whether they're independent or traditional. Well, we are doing it independently, so it will just depend on your contract. We do ours work for hire, don't we, Carol? I can't remember. Isn't ours for a straight fee?
I missed that. What happened?
Oh, the contract for our anthologies, they're done on a strict fee, right?
Correct. They're done on a strict fee.
Yeah. So, and some of them are, I've done, I did an anthology years ago with George R.R. Martin, and that I get royalties on. But most of the anthologies I do, I don't get, whether they're traditional or independent, I don't get royalties on them. So again, it just really depends.
Yeah, generally that's a weird deal with a publisher. How they go through and split that up. And then I don't know how long they keep. I don't know how long they keep it under title form, under contract, year-wise.
Yeah. And then Becky wants to know, she's my collector doll, thank you, of Simeon Nash. And she wants to know if there's going to be any more. Maybe. We're hoping. We don't know. That particular company's not doing them anymore. We're looking into it. I think we might actually have found a company that can do the dolls. Fingers crossed. We don't know. We are looking into it though. Maya wants to know, is it safe to do self-publishing? It's as safe as it is not to. God love. I'm kind of backing off of this one because this hits a personal. Is it safer? I'm sorry. Is it safer to do self-publishing? Not. I mean, no. In short, no. But it really depends on what you want. Do you want to have that editor on? And I am not putting editors down. They have saved my bacon. Claire Eddy, Monique Patterson, y'all have saved my bacon on many a day. I mean, some of the editors I've worked with have been the best. Laura Cifelli, I would not be sitting here today with all of you. God bless every one of you, but for Laura Cifelli. So, there are fabulous editors out there, and I've been honored and privileged to work with so many great ones. But, I've also had publishers do some pretty underhanded things to me, not my editors. So is your work any safer? What's your opinion, Carol?
I don't think it's any safer. I think when you indie pub, then you're in control. You don't have to pay anybody except your editor and your cover artist.
Yeah.
Everything straight back to you.
And that's the one big advantage. But that's also a bad thing because when you guys go, Sherry, it's not my fault. I have somebody I can blame and go, I thought that too. They did it.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
you don't have that.
Yeah, it is going to be on you.
Yeah, that is true. All righty, let's see.
Make sure good team, and then you just cross your fingers and go. But that is you in control of that business. So you are your own CEO.
Right. Chris is asking about the Indiegogo. Those this is why we, for our Kickstarter, decided, even though it's costing me a lot more, we're doing the books for Kickstarter here in the US because trying to get, with everything that has gone on with supply issues, with the cargo carriers not being able to get into port, that's why you guys haven't had your figurines. A lot of stuff went on. War broke out. We weren't prepared for. But last I heard from Skyland Arts, those are shipping and they should be on their way. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Skyland Arts has hired someone to answer all of the emails so that you get an answer immediately. So they should be on their way, and you should be having a tracking number sent to you. And if not, you can contact us and we'll forward it. But we do have to forward it. We can't answer. We didn't do the figures, the smaller figures. If you go to Skyland Arts, you'll get an answer a lot quicker than if we do it. And Maya is saying that she does everything herself, editing, artwork, promoting, everything. That is amazing. The one thing about editing yourself, I will do a caveat on this. You miss things. No matter how good you are, really, I am grateful. Even the stuff that I do independently, you always want another editor in there. It's still, you're going to have typos, which irritates me. Oh my, I have one book published where she walked across the road, RODE. And you're like, how? I read it out how many times? My beta readers read it. My critique partners read it. My editors don't read one time; they read it multiples. The copy editor, it goes through so many hands. How did we miss this? But it happens. So the more pair of eyes I have on a book, the happier I am any day. What about you, Carol?
Yeah, I run mine through two editors, one for grammar, which I suck. So I have to have someone to go over grammar because I don't know. There's some weird thing about an elephant running down the stairs in pajamas that Mary always points out to me.
Oh my God.
And I was always like, okay, I get this, but do you think this might work better? Or, okay, I lost it here. So what did you forget to put in there? Because sometimes my thoughts will go so fast, my fingers can't get it all down. And I will just leave things hanging and go on to the next paragraph. And she'll be like, I think you missed something here. And I'll have to go back and like, well, yeah, that happened. And she's like, oh, good. Well, fix it.
Right.
So I run two editors before I get on.
Stephanie wants to know, can we get an Ash and Simi plushie doll? We had them and we sold out. We are looking into trying to get more. We don't know yet. We've got some price quote. We've got two things going on. We're getting price quotes to do another. They won't be identical to the ones we did in the past. It'll be an all new Simi and an all new Ash doll. We're getting price quotes, but what we're having to look at is, can we get them in time to do them for the Kickstarter? And for those, we will have extra ones in the store if we get them, but it's going really to depend on how many we have to order and what the final price is. So I won't say no. We are trying to do that.
Yay.
I know. Yay, right? And then let's see. I can't find. Oh, there we go. How do you deal with writer's block and self-doubt? I feel so stuck on my current work in progress. I can't talk. Work in progress, and am doubting every word I've ever written. Congratulations, Mercedes. You're an author.
Yeah, you are.
We all do that. That means you're on the right track. In fact, I have a whole herd of friends, and Carol is one of them. When I call them up going, I suck, what do you say, Carol? Oh, she left me hanging. Carol, when I call you up crying about I can't write and I don't know what I'm doing, what do you say?
Don't stop. You're going to get there. I don't know what I say. Depends on
it depends on how hard I'm crying.
How hard you're crying, exactly.
But yeah, no, that means no, really. And my son, who's Madaug, who's normally with me, he goes through that too. I'm always, you're fine, you're great. But you're my mom. It's really bad with him. You're my mom. I am your mother, but I'm brutally honest too, because when he has an idea that's a stinko, I'm like, well, actually, he came up with one, and I'm sitting there, but I'm reevaluating it now. Because it was about trains in space, and I'm like, Mm-hmm. And then I saw the movie Snowpiercer, or not movie, TV show Snowpiercer, and I'm like, you know what? Go for it. Because, I didn't think I liked Snowpiercer, but it's fabulous. I even got Carol addicted.
Yes, she did.
So, I'm never going to say never on any idea. Go for it. If the idea theory came to you as an author and they gave you that idea, run with it, because you should do it.
And if you have writer's block, then switch perspectives or skip ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what the next thing is going to be. You know where your characters have to go for this or this or this. So either change your point of view to another character, like, I can't believe this is happening. Nobody's moving. We're not doing anything. And this has got to go. Or move on down the line a little bit to the wedding, to the funeral, to the birthday party, to whatever.
Or set a character on fire. Or shoot them. That works for me.
That's what Mary says.
It's true.
I guess it would work, yeah. I just pretty much killed, one shot, one kill. That's my preferred method.
Oh my gosh. And then Judith writes, thank you, Sherry, for my one big fangirl moment when you recognized me by name in the elevator at one of the RWA conferences. The one where the fire alarm went off in the middle of the night and we didn't hear it because we were back in the 40 wing. Yeah, it's good to see you again, honey bunny. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
gosh. Yeah, I know the things that go on at conferences.
Yeah, this is true.
Jacob wants to know. He has 3 wonderful, trustworthy beta readers that he trusts with his life. But if I wanted to add more outside my friend pool, I heard you shouldn't ask people you don't know. I'm trying to put this up so I can read it a little better.
Okay.
If I heard you shouldn't ask people you don't know personally to be one. How do you protect your work from being stolen by beta readers? That's a whole nother hour long, day long, month long chat in and of itself. You really, I'm going to be, I'll be brutally honest. You can't protect your work, even though it's copyrighted. If somebody's going to, it may not come from the beta reader. At least with the beta reader, you're less likely with the beta reader because you have proof you sent it to them. So for them to take your work would be kind of stupid because you've got a path right to going, hey, Bob over here did this. Your real concerns, the people who aren't beta readers that you don't know. I mean, if they're going to steal it, they're going to steal it. And there's nothing really you can do except file a lawsuit on them. And having been through it myself, I can, and I technically won it. I would tell you that I wouldn't do it again. Just because it takes too much time from your work and all. So, I mean, you really, in terms of that, you're relying on people's integrity. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of that anymore. Sad, but true.
So, my beta readers don't write books.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. That's one way to keep it.
Yeah. They're not writers, but they're readers. So you hold your readers close. They would never think of stealing your book because they know they would never be able to put it out. But they can give you real reader feedback because they're not, as a writer, picking things apart. They're, as a reader, watching the movie going on in their head.
Yeah.
And so they can give you real feedback. Like, I was doing really, really good, and then suddenly the cat jumped in, and I lost my track, and I don't know what was going on with the cat, and was it important? And then I had to read before to see if it was really important, and then I went beyond it to see if it was going to matter, and if you just put a jump start in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, they will give you that kind of feedback because they are curled up in a reading chair with their tea or their coffee or their wine, and they're reading a book because they love to read. And then they'll go through and highlight things and make question marks and write in books. I've got all kind of notes in books before I've gone through and turned one of those. So my beta readers are readers.
Yeah, that will help. Actually, now I think about it, almost all of mine are too.
Yeah, but, see, you get away from the writer crowd because they start picking things apart, and then they become critique people.
I know. I like when they pick stuff apart. I'd rather hear it there than on Amazon.
I'd rather them tell me when I was watching a movie, it skipped a beat. Oh my God. Want you to dive into my book and stay there. Be in my world. We're okay. But I have 2 editors that are willing to pick me apart.
Yeah, right. Well, that too. Vagabond wants to know, is Born of Blood going to be on audio? Yes. Yes. It should be. I know that I think it's only listed in ebook right now, but and I forgot now why. There's some weirdness going on, but it'll be available in book. I can't talk tonight. It'll be available in book form. It'll be available as audio and ebook. So yeah, it'll have all formats coming out.
Super.
Yes.
Super.
Oops, I gotta hide it now.
What you gotta hide?
Oh my God. Well, no, I'm showing them. Unfortunately, you can't see this, Carol, but at the bottom of the screen, I can now put the questions so that everybody can see them.
There you go. I got a glimpse or two. Right. And then it derezzed. And I think I heard thunder, so that would have been the worst.
Oh God, yeah. I hope we don't have thunder. I'm glad if we had tried this last night, I didn't have power. That would have been a disaster.
We need thunder. We don't need thunder.
No, I don't need thunder.
That's right.
I've had so much of that.
I'm going to have midget tomato plants.
No, there you go. Okay, here's another writing question. I started a book, but I didn't know where to go with it. It's like I have the basic idea, but don't know what to do. How do you get an ending or figure out what the action should be? You are asking the wrong people because we are both pantsers. You have 2 different kinds of writers. You've got plotters and you've got pantsers. My son Madaug is a plotter. My writing partner Diana Love, she was a plotter. You see a lot of fun stuff when you put a plotter and a pantser together because Diana would have like these charts and maps of this is what the characters are going to do. And then I'd come along and be like, no, they're not. I do what they tell me to do.
That's right.
Yeah. So I never know the ending. I just write till the characters get to it and they figure out the action. How about you, Carol? I know you
Yeah,
basically do the same.
pretty much about, I have worked with writers though who can do that, but if you sit down with a person and you start talking about it, you may find out that suddenly a door opens in a dark hallway you didn't know before, and there's the next part of the story. And that may help guide you all the way through, because as this person sitting there listening, you go, well, then she bought this motorcycle and she had to learn to ride it, of course, and she laid it down on the highway because she was trying to miss this guy in a four-wheeler who took the lane and then give the lane back. So when she went to pass, it was, and then, I don't know, well, where was she going? Oh, well, she was going to town. Did you know that before? You probably didn't make a note. What was she going to town for? Well, there was this new adult shop that had lingerie, so she was going to get it before her husband comes. Oh, well, then write that down, because that person going through and saying, and what happens next, may go through and help you discover what happens next.
Yes, exactly. And then we've got one of my favorite questions, which is, how do you come up with your original languages? I love to conlang. I am that geek. Oh my gosh. I started, I grew up, my granddaddy was a linguist. He spoke I don't know how many languages. So I grew up in a house, and I grew up with more than one language. So the things that are universal in language, well, there's nothing really universal. Although I think the word shark ought to be. Shark and stop should be two universal words. Come on, agree with me. Carol, agree with me.
This should be universal.
Shark and stop.
Well, aren't they?
No. No. So anyway, okay, because, and I'm learning Japanese now with Madaug and Hinako. And like taco means octopus. So, you're like, but banana is still banana. So, anyway, growing up with all that, I was always fascinated by the different languages. And I started very early on, creating, everybody does pig Latin. Screw that. I want language. So it's always been something I've been fascinated with. And the easiest way, though, to create one is to pick a base language and sculpt it sort of around that. But you really have to, this is where you got to be dedicated to what you do. And there are books on conlanging. It's CONLANG. You have to set up the grammar structure, the verb structure, all that parts of English that you hated to learn in school. You need to have paid attention if you're ever going to create your own language, because that is when it becomes really, really important. Also, too, how many letters in the alphabet? Do they have all of our vowels? Do they have different vowels? And then you get into things like diphthongs, like Österreich. There are sounds that we in America don't make. Asheron's name is a perfect example of this. If you were pronouncing it correctly in Greek, it's like Acheron, but okay, it sounds like I'm sneezing. It's not a proper, I'm not Greek. And one of the problems that you get when you're learning languages, that's the first part of your brain that dies. And this is why when kids are little and they learn multiple languages, they have no accent. But the older you get, if you try to learn a language, like right now, I know I speak Japanese horrendously. So, that's why it's really important to teach a language to a kid, even though it kind of interferes with their ability to learn language. It's better to teach it to them as young as possible, because they'll catch all of those songs, all of those diphthongs and sounds that you lose the ability, really, by the time you're in your teens, that it doesn't come back. Okay, now you got quiet. Carol, don't be quiet. We got dead air.
I speak United States military.
Oh, there you go. Well, and we all
That's
speak
a
Southern.
foreign language right there.
Hey, if you're in my family, you speak Southern, and Southern is its own animal with its own accent.
And the angrier you get, the thicker it is.
If I begin to need subtitles, run. You know, I am when I degenerate to the point, it's like I sound like Boomhauer. It's bad. You have thoroughly angered me.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No, I remember in high school I was trying out for a play. It's cold in the Mar Hills, and because I have a little, I'm not gonna lie, I do have a southern a drawl, but it's not very thick. I have a very light one normally. But when I tried out for the play, I came in there, y'all, and I'm like rolling everything. And my teacher was like, "My God, where did that come from?" Like, hey, that's what it sounds like being around my folks, y'all. Have some family there.
That's right.
I didn't know it wasn't okra till I was at the farm. My grandmother used to run a farmer's market stand, and this woman comes up. She's like, "I would like okra." Oh, what's okra? And then luckily my cousin was son means okra. Why don't she say okra? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Gotta love it. Oh my gosh. We have reached our hour, but are there any? I know it went fast.
It did go fast, even if it started late. Again, my apologies.
Oh, I love this from Elizabeth. Do you wash your dishes? Yes, we wash them.
Yes.
Where do those extra R's come from? And we drop like battery. What the heck? Where did those extra syllables go? Battery. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like we talk so fast they hang off.
I guess. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we have enjoyed this, guys. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. We tried to answer and do the do all of the. I don't know. Help me. I'm out of words. I went over my word count.
Publishing. She tried to go through and give you a couple of hints about things coming up and where things are going to be.
That's true. So, and I have no idea what our topic next week will be. Carol is not filling my spot.
Yes, yeah,
she don't know either. So if you have suggestions, you can always put them on Facebook. We're happy to take suggestions, things that y'all want to know. We love you.
You know how to go through and focus in that way.
Absolutely. We love you guys. Hopefully next week we'll have Carol. The storms. I'm sorry I sent them down there to you.
That would be so good. It was just, I don't know, some kind of weird fluke.
Yeah, I sent you my storms from yesterday. I'm sorry.
No. We haven't had any storms. Like I said, I thought I heard thunder. But, the cable company went through and did an upgrade to their equipment yesterday. So we lost everything for 4 hours. So I'm not sure why they upgraded.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, baby girl.
Oh, yeah. So we're still putting pieces parts back together. Thank you, technology gods. Thank God.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll have her next week. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. It has been a pleasure as always. We love you guys.
I'm waving.
I know. I'll wait for Carol. You guys have a great night. Take care of yourselves until next week.
Yeah.